Hey everybody, welcome to the SoCal Car Scene. This is Dean Marash, I'm your host, and I'm here with my co-host, Big J Marash.
Hey, what's up everybody?
We're live from the warehouse where everybody wants to be, and if all the cool cars are, and Jay's a cool kid, I don't know that I am, but I'd like to be.
It is the place where we work though, so we're the only two people where we don't want to be.
Yeah.
This place is not where we want to be. Right. Because we work here.
This is the second iteration of this particular episode, which we're going to call Current Car Trends.
Current Car Trends.
That's right.
We should have it on like big bold letters. Like,
big
Current Car Trends.
Bum, 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 bum. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We've decided we're going to do this episode every 2 to 3 weeks because there's so much going on in the car scene these days. Jay, did I overcommit you?
Yeah. I'm
Good.
Pretty lazy out there, folks. I'm sorry.
Well, it's typical of me, the boss overcommitting, my son. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. But anyway.
No, it's not. Yeah. Run. If your dad tells you to work for him, don't do it.
Look, he's having a blast. People don't believe it. So guess what? The very first topic that we think is super hot is the new Bronco. The new Ford Bronco just got released 2 weeks ago. And the world of the car scene is abuzz. There's 2-door versions, there's 4-door versions. Apparently, they're completely out. You can no longer order one and put down a deposit. I don't know if that's true. I'm hearing that from some folks on the scene.
That's true. They even doubled the amount of first editions that you could get, and they brought that number up to 7,000. They sold out as soon as they announced that.
Well, I, for one, think it's an awesome car. I think it really looks a lot better than I thought it was going to look. They had prototypes for the last, 10 years?
Oh, those prototypes were scary. Like the prototypes that were like 6 months ago. I think, I think that those were like testers just to really see like, okay, are people going to hate this or are people going to love it? And boy, did I hate it when I saw those prototypes.
I think they pulled a Tesla truck thing and then they did a switcheroo. They've always planned this really good looking one. And then they intentionally did it for marketing purposes. That's my I've got a conspiracy theory.
With the reverse bait and switch.
Exactly.
Why? So set expectations
low. Exactly. But
it worked.
It worked. So there's a lot of buzz about it. Jay, you're a Bronco enthusiast. You've got a Bronco. Tell us how excited you are.
Okay. Well, let's start with this. Is that 4 doors are total sacrilegious, man. 4-door Broncos, no way. Like I'm not down with that. I get that they made a 2-door version to appeal all of us, sticklers, but man, just making a 4-door version, that's heresy.
Yeah, well, they wanted a little piece of that 4Runner action that's gone strong and that Gladiator from Jeep. Well, everybody's got a 4-door off-road.
But what's the difference between that and a Ford Raptor? I might as well get a Ford Raptor if I want to get something with 4 doors.
It's kind of like the Ford T-Bird, right? They did the 2-door for 3 years. It was very successful. And then they went big on the 2-door. Then they went to 4-door and, it kind of ruined the car. So what do you think?
I think Ford overthought that one, and I think they were going for a more mass appeal with a 4-door.
How do you know that they're not doing that with a 4-door here? I think the same thing is true.
I think they're going for a mass appeal. I think that the Bronco 4-door, I get the marketing purposes for it. Yeah, because it's more, you can make it a more family vehicle, but still be off-roading. Kind of like a Jeep Gladiator.
Yeah, you can take your whole family off-road.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Rebel Off-Road across the street. They're a great partner of ours, or a customer of ours. We've had their CEO on with us on SoCal Car Podcast. Jay, what do you think? Do you think they'll be having some aftermarket parts over there for this new Bronco?
You know that they've been preparing for it for a long time. So
wow, can't wait to see.
I'm sure everybody's gonna.
All right, we got to get one. That's the bottom line.
But the 2-door version is pretty sweet. All the features that they put on there is pretty incredible. I mean, all the technology that's on there, all the off-roading technology is quite amazing. Now, as far as the aesthetics are concerned, I'm not all that impressed, to be honest with you. Everybody, because I have a 1994 Bronco XLT myself, and everybody's been asking me, hey, Jay, what do you think of the new Bronco? What is that? And, I'm a little bit underwhelmed.
I like the grill myself.
I'm not saying that it's bad. I just say that it's like it doesn't blow my mind away, and it's not like I don't know. It's kind of like a book you've been waiting, like George R.R. Martin, like a George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones sequel that hasn't come out for 15 years. Then you read it and you're just like, wow, this is awful.
Well, I for one like the front of that Bronco, and the sides are pretty blasé. But the Bronco is a square, boxy look. Always has been, has to be. So you can only do so much, I think, when you're trying to stay consistent with the brand.
Yeah.
Got to be boxy. And you think about the Jeeps and you think about the 4Runners. They're not the sexiest looking beasts out there either, right?
No, I guess not. But I guess it borrows a little bit too much from other chassis types, such as that. I think that, what is it, one of the Toyota models, I think it's like the FJ Cruiser, kind of looks a little bit like that model.
It sure does,
one.
yeah. One of our customers has one of those. Awesome vehicle. Yep,
It looks a lot like that.
All right, so let's switch topics, Jay. One of the other things that's really been matriculating and super happening out there in the car scene is the sale of everybody's favorite site to buy a car or to oogle over cars, Bring a Trailer. Just recently sold to the Hertz Corporation. I don't know if it was a couple.
Not the Hearst Corporation. The Hearst Corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Watch your S's. You got to slur them a little with that one.
You got to practice that pronunciation.
Hearst. So pretty exciting stuff. I mean, everybody's talking about it. What's it mean? But it's certainly a huge compliment for what they've done at Bring a Trailer or BAT. Everybody loves to get their emails and spend half their day going through that. It's basically car porn. We know that. Yeah. But the thing that's unique about that particular site or sales marketing tool, whatever you call it, is the fact that everybody gets to chime in and offer their 2 cents. Mm-hmm. So I think that's great, and I think it can be negative. But what are your thoughts about this? What does it really mean? Why is a company like the Hearst Corporation, where are they going with this? There used to be a publishing mega power, right? Now what are they doing this for?
Then that's the number one question, right? What is Hearst Corporation going to do with it? Because the beauty of Bring a Trailer, it was like eBay for cars without all the bullshit.
It's almost a Craigslist. It's such an odd format, right?
Yeah, right. It's like eBay meets Craigslist just for car people without all the bullshit of cars, Craigslist and eBay and all that. And so I don't know what is going to happen. Those guys made a lot of money, selling the things. So hats off to that for something that they made a good thing. But I don't know. Hearst Corporation could go an entirely different way with it. Who knows? Or they might just keep the model the same. I suggest that they just keep the model the same.
Well, it's a very successful model, if you will, and we'll see. I mean, I'm real anxious to see if it becomes more global, if they modify the format to make it a little more broad. Right now, they're very limited to the kind of cars that they want to sell. They're pretty selective. So it's not easy to get your car on there and have it sold. We've got a friend named Kyle who's currently got his BMW up for sale there. So I'm anxious to see how that does. But hats off to those guys. I did see an interview where the owner, the guy that sold it, said, I didn't really start this to make money. It wasn't profitable at first. The whole idea was...
Most businesses aren't.
Yeah, he was a car freak, and he wanted to do something like this to focus on the cars he loved.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how passion evolves and turns into this huge business opportunity, and the guy gets rich?
Now, if it only just happens to the SoCal car scene.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Crossed,
subscribe, everybody, subscribe.
Let us have our own Bring a Trailer dream.
Yes, let us dream big. Anyway, anything else to say about Bring a Trailer? I mean...
I don't know. I don't think people's fears are that based in all reason. I mean, I think that they're just going to keep the model the same. It's a good investment. Everybody uses it.
It is kind of a standard. Even when we talk to Keith Martin, who publishes Sports Car Market and all the the various publications around there, we've spoken about that as well. Uh-huh. And it's that important where other automotive publishing companies are talking about that particular brand and that actual channel, if you will, on selling cars.
Well, the best part about it is what it seems is that the model is recession proof. This economic downturn should have killed the car market, but it really didn't. Bring a Trailer sales have been up. Internet auctions from all these auction companies are up, and so it's a good move.
It is pandemic. Is there a new? Is
maybe
there?
they'll bring back, rebuild Hearst Castle Part 2 with all the money.
Wait a minute, Jay. It sounds like you're talking about a whole new category of businesses. Pandemic proof.
Pandemic proof.
Love
businesses. Are there such a thing in the car world?
Well, I think we're seeing one now. Now we're seeing a lot of auctions totally online, right? So that's what's happening now. We won't.
And people are spending money like crazy. What are the sell-through rates? We had Wade Kawasaki on last week for our show, and he said that they were having sell-through rates of over 80%.
Yep, on some of these online
And
auctions.
that's usually that's rare for most just regular in-person auctions, right?
Yep.
Because what are the average sell-through rates?
Anywhere from I'd say 40 to 60, maybe 70 on the high end.
Because remember, McCormick's in Palm Springs last year really didn't do so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? What exactly do you think is the cause of that? I mean, why do you think people are buying cars online all of a sudden?
Well, there's not a lot of options. A lot of dealerships are closed, for example. You can't buy cars that are at dealerships. They're closed in a lot of states because of the pandemic. Open 1 minute, close the next. So I think a lot of inventory is tied up. You can't go a face-to-face auction in most states, although we saw Mecum had one in Indianapolis a week ago. So I think there's a lot of inventory out there. I think there's another thing going on where car people are stuck at home and sitting in front of their computer with little or nothing to do other than to help their kids learn algebra, which they're not doing very well.
But I guess
they're better at. I think these guys are better at buying cars than they are descriptive geometry.
Well, it doesn't really answer the biggest mystery is, well, if this is like the greatest economic downturn since '08, then where are people getting the money to buy these cars?
So my view, Jay, is that there is a tremendous gap. This pandemic has created the haves and the have-nots. So the haves are the people that are making their money digitally. They're not dependent on a brick and mortar environment and been so unfortunate to be unemployed or their business is shut down.
Right.
So folks that own businesses that are high tech, for example, software, for example, anything that can be distance done, there really hasn't been a tremendous impact. Matter of fact, there's been a shift of wealth from a lot of these brick and mortar businesses that have shut down in the malls, for example. We've seen so many go out of business, but a lot of businesses are through the roof. Walmart's an example, doing extremely well. How about Amazon? How about Tesla? So there's Netflix, all the streaming services. So what we're seeing in this unfortunate time is a transfer of wealth, and that's unfortunate. It impacts some, but I think it gives a big opportunity to car guys and car gals, and if they're in the fortunate situation where they work for high-tech companies or they work in the digital domain.
Speaking of auctions and having money to spend at them, there was a record-breaking sale of a prototype 1965 Mustang Shelby, sold for $3.65 million.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
But Dad, we'll get to that in a sec. But first, we got to tell you all about our friends at C8s. And if you're looking for a smarter way to charge your car's battery, our friends at C8s lead the way in the care and maintenance of vehicle batteries. C8s' unparalleled knowledge and continuous investment in innovation means they offer high-quality, reliable chargers that are effective, easy to use, and most importantly, safe for the user and their car's electric system. We trust them wholeheartedly here in the shop, and if you actually look around at all these cars, you can actually see C8s chargers on a bunch of them. The quality of C8s products make them the trusted company of the world's most recognizable car brands, including Audi, Bentley, BMW, Corvette, Ford, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes, Porsche, and numerous others. Get yours today at smartercharger.com.
Jay, not only do we have C8s chargers plugged into most of these cars, but we have most of those cars that you just read off.
I know, right?
That's incredible, right?
Yeah, right.
What a diversity of cars we have here at SoCal Classic Car Storage. I think we got them all, right?
Yeah.
We got Bentleys, we got Ferraris, we got Maseratis.
Well, we do have one more Maserati.
Yeah, we do. That's right. Hey, let's get back to that Mustang that sold for a record amount at auction the other day. Did you say $3.65 million for that Shelby prototype that Ken Miles drove personally? 1965, one of one. What an incredible car. White with blue stripes? That thing was amazing.
Yep, makes it the highest selling Mustang of all time. Beat out the Bullet. That's at the record just, not too long ago.
Yeah, but I wasn't all that excited about the Bullet as much as I am about this, because I see this as a truly much more significant historical vehicle. This was hand-built, handcrafted by the Carroll Shelbys and all the great designers on the Shelby team. And driven by Ken Miles. I mean, I don't know. How does it get better than that?
By itself is something to behold. And but what's funny? We were talking about this car not too long ago, maybe 2 months, 3 months ago, when they showed the catalog for the upcoming Mecum Indy auction, and we're like, wow, this car could really sell for something. We thought maybe 1.5 million, $2 million, but I think it surprised all of us. What do you think? What do you think led to such a huge sale?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the influence on the car scene of Carroll Shelby. If we think about all the great things that he did, we've got 4 Shelbys in our garage, in the warehouse here, I'm guessing. We got a 350 Hertz Rent-A-Racer 1966. We got a 1969 GT 500, 428 Cobra Jet, just to name a few. And I don't think there's another name that's more synonymous with racing, automotive manufacturing brilliance in the United States. I can't think of it. There might be.
Well, and I think the name got re-upped due to the movie Ford versus Ferrari.
Amen.
And it got re-upped probably to my generation, because your generation really loves, the Shelbys and everything like that.
Dan Gurney and
I mean, that really wasn't important to us. And I think Ford versus Ferrari really brought Shelby back into the zeitgeist and brought Ken Miles back from,
just an afterthought.
Yeah, just
almost.
an afterthought of racing's history.
Yep.
And so now they're both back. It's kind of like how those Michael Jordan rookie cards went through the roof after The Last Dance came out. I think that was the same effect.
Sure. But okay, great question and great comparison.
Shelby's hot again.
Great question, great comparison. Do you think that $3.65 million is a good investment, or is it just because they're catching the tailwind of the movie and all that phenomenon?
I think it's a good investment but not long term.
Oh, really? Don't think it's
no, because eventually they'll, Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby will fade into obscurity again. So I wouldn't hold it for a decade or longer than that.
Do you realize that $3.65 million today sounds like a lot of money, but in 15 years, people will say, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, probably.
But it's a beautiful car, and incredible that they took a bunch of stock Mustangs, these guys, and sent them to a factory in Los Angeles, and Shelby and his team modified each and every one to act like a street race car. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
the heritage is awesome.
It's quite a car. Is it worth the $3.65 million? Yeah, probably.
To somebody.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth that much money? Do you think it's a good investment at that
I do. I think it's a good investment because it's historically significant.
Yeah.
And it's one of one.
Well, that car belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Quote Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum.
I don't know. Some of our car owners down here would drive them, I'll tell you. Right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hot American car brands, right?
I thought you were going to say hot chicks, but...
That's a different show.
Darn.
That won't be found on SoCal Car Scene, by the way. But I think you can find it on YouTube and Instagram.
Oh.
So look for that on somebody else's show.
Yeah, this is where people change the channel, Dad.
Thanks for sharing. Hey, so speaking of hot cars, how about that C8, that new Corvette, mid-engine, radical design change. Obviously, it looks more like a McLaren or a Ferrari and then maybe a Corvette. But what's cool and exciting about that car is you can't get one. Try to get a 2020. Well, first of all, you can't order it. We do have one of our customers that is fortunate enough to have one. And so what do you think, Jason? A rare collectible like the 1963 split window Corvette? Or just the rage for the day?
You came up with a good point the other day where it was like the 67s, right? The 67s were limited production because General Motors decided that they were going to start really gearing up for the 68 and the 69 the C3s, right?
Yeah, they did a lot of marketing and advertising, and so much so people said, why should I get this same old Stingray? I'm going to wait for the new one. So the demand wasn't there for that 67.
So I think that's similar to this situation as far as production is concerned. And the coronavirus really impacted that Bowling Green plant where they all were going to go produce all of them. So how many were made?
Well, they made
7,000?
No, they made 2,700 as of May.
2,700?
And the interesting thing that
Is that all they're going to make?
No, they're going to make some more. But the interesting thing that all the cars that were in production when they shut that plant down, they put them in hermetically sealed bags, and they took them off the factory line, and they had to prevent any dust or any contamination getting in them. So not only do they have to restart the factory when the coast is clear, whenever that happened again, maybe in June, in Bowling Green, but they had to basically put them back into the production line and start over again. Now they've got other part shortages to deal with from their suppliers from other states and maybe countries around the world. So, the speculation is we're not going to see more than 3,500 or 4,000 of those C8s for 2020.
So due to that limited production, the C8s are definitely going to be, the 2020 C8s are definitely going to be collectible cars.
Yeah, and I'm told right now by one of my customers who tried to buy one, he can't even order a 2021.
No, he's got to wait until 2022.
He ordered it, but his car is going to be built for 2022, if you can imagine that.
Yep, gotta wait, unfortunately. But it's a really great car. I was a little bit hesitant, just like I was with the Bronco, but as soon as I saw one, I was blown away. It was amazing. GM did a great job with the car and the interior. The interior is the best part because I heard someone say the other day where it's like they really haven't made a good Corvette interior since the C4 or maybe the C3, and they're correct. And C8 finally got the interior right. That thing looks cool and it's comfortable.
Yeah, it is. It really feels like a high-end exotic car on the inside. They've got some very dramatic lines on the outside. Mid-engine is very challenging from an engineering standpoint. I think there's a few things that I'm not really fond of, particularly in the rear of the vehicle, the lines where the back quarter panels and the trunk meets. But that's pretty small potatoes, and it's easy to be a critic. But honestly, they took a tremendous gamble, Chevrolet did, and built a phenomenal, I think, beautiful car that's setting the car market ablaze with interest and now low demand, and you couldn't ask for anything more. It kind of reminds me of the Copel Camaros they built 4 or 5 years ago, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? Yeah. And everybody had to have one, and they were going to go up in value, and people were going to speculate on them.
Huh. Yeah, well, that kind of ended up being a dud, but Corvette is Corvette.
Yeah. So what are you saying about Corvette? It's just a unique brand, and
Corvette. Everybody loves Corvette. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
You can't not love Corvette, and so I guess any Corvette really is gonna be special to people, and they're gonna be worth investing in. These 2020s are no different, and in fact, I think that they're probably gonna see increase in valuations maybe in the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I until the demand is realized, I think you're right, Jay. There's going to be probably a lot of people flipping them and making some money for a short period of time. We'll see how long that lasts.
Sure.
We touched a little bit about the manufacturing challenges Corvette and Chevy has, because one minute you're before the pandemic, next minute you're in the pandemic, you got to shut your factory down, then you start your factory again, and then you're only at 50% capacity, then you got production problems, and then you got to shut your factory down again because the second wave of the pandemic hits. This has got to be a problem for all car manufacturing companies, and I'm asking you, do you think that all these car manufacturers are going to make it through this difficult time?
No. No, I don't think so. I think that these regulations are just crippling the car manufacture, the car plants. And they were, what is it? I read a New York Times article, a really good article, where it said that these companies were already losing money by having too many factories. And so now that they're closing down these factories, do we really think that they're going to make profit?
Well, I think that article, you and I talked about it, they were talking about how they run it like maybe 65% efficiency.
Yeah.
And now with 50% of the people back and social distance and PPE and keeping hygienic, they're probably at about 30% efficient. So when you got large overhead, like these tremendously big plants and all the equipment in the plants, the bills just keep adding up and there's nowhere to go.
Well, think about how I mean, you could just see how desperate these commercials are getting. Have you seen these deals like, oh yeah, you can return your car within, you don't have to make your first payment for like 3 months, or oh wow, hey, the Ford commercial that we just saw the other day, where it's just like, you can return it within a year if you lose your job.
That's great.
Certified pre-owned, new, leases, whatever. But doesn't that reek of desperation?
Well, let me know if you want to go buy a new Ford, and then I can fire you, and then you can return it and you can enjoy it.
Let's go buy the Bronco.
Yeah, let's get the Bronco.
Does that apply?
Then fire you, and that'd be a great idea,
yeah.
Joe. Okay, saving me money.
Let's go buy a Bronco, and then fire me, and then return it. Right.
All right, so we already know that the first shoe to drop really has been McLaren. Now, I don't think the pandemic is what is making McLaren struggle, but I heard that McLaren is selling their historically significant cars from their great history.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Just to pay their bills, right? Because there's a possibility of reorganization, whatever they call it in Chapter 11 in Britain. I'm not sure it's the same.
Yeah.
But they're talking about some serious financial challenges there. But imagine you're in the Lamborghini factory or the Ferrari factory, and all of a sudden you get the word to social distance and odd and even. Hey, you people that are born on odd dates, you don't get to show up on the even dates. So I just can't imagine how you stay profitable when you're especially building high-end exotic cars that are so labor intensive, but now you can't use all the labor, and you're really going to cut the production in half or more. And can you meet the demand? I mean, so there's a lot of questions.
I don't think so. I think, it all depends on European politics. I'm not really, too versed in this subject, but they're a lot more regulated than here.
Sure, you can't lay people off.
Yeah, no, you can't. Like, there's a big hubbub if you close any plants.
Yeah, you got to pay. I think you got to pay people for 2 years.
What about these noise regulations that are occurring? And these noise regulations are killing Porsche, killing all these supercar brands, Ferrari, Lamborghini.
Well, you saw that review. I can't remember what magazine it was in, but it really blasted the latest Ferrari because the noise is terrible.
Oh,
it's got a V8 and
it's like really quiet.
Well, they had to quiet down to meet these noise regulations in like Canada and Germany and different countries where they're very strict about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like a lot of our customers, the first thing they're doing obviously is going in and getting a modified exhaust and muffler system to make the car sound like a supercar.
Yeah, who wants a car without noise?
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
No, I mean, who wants, maybe let me rephrase
Be
that.
careful.
Who wants a Ferrari without noise?
Right.
Or with bad noise?
Yeah, you're asking for trouble from our e-builders.
It's obviously that these people who come up with this idea are not car guys.
Yeah.
That's very apparent.
Yeah. So anyway, the pandemic has definitely challenged manufacturers of automotive companies and supply chains, and I do have a lot of compassion for companies that really were struggling beforehand financially and are going to be challenged moving forward. But hopefully we get this behind us soon.
Maybe another bailout. Hopefully we learn from 2008. Who knows?
Yep. I didn't think we'd be talking about this, quite frankly, here in July. Honestly, I thought the pandemic would be gone, but we're still here. Well, thanks for that, Jay, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the SoCal Car Scene. Please, we want to hear your feedback on this. We're going to continue to do the car trend topics every 2 to 3 weeks. Jay and I, we love this. We love getting together and riffing on this stuff, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you. I'll turn it over to you, Jay.
Also, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast right below there on the video. It says, well, subscribe. Make sure that you click on a comment. Tell us what you think of the podcast
absolutely,
so far.
please.
We've gotten 26 of these now, and we're wondering what you think. You're still listening in, and the viewership continues to grow. So we really appreciate all your support out there, wherever you may be. We got fans from all over the world, people in Ireland, which is great, and people in Germany, and people in Naperville, Illinois.
Love Naperville.
Hey, Naperville, Illinois has a great downtown, great restaurants too. Been there. Go Bradley Braves. Went there down in Peoria. So wherever you are, thank you so much for supporting us here.
Greatly appreciate it.
Continue to support us. And in fact, if you support us by going to SoCalCarStorage.com, under the contact page, please subscribe to our newsletter, and that way we can actually reach out to you. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, we can actually give you a couple free things. We will give you a SoCal Classic Car Storage sticker, and also a sticker for the SoCal car scene, so you can rep all those brands. So if you subscribe there, I will post this little link right below in the comment. There will be a link right there in the bio section, right underneath. So just go ahead and follow that link and subscribe to the newsletter. Leave us your email address, and we would be glad to send these out to you wherever you are in the world. So thank you so much for stopping by, and happy driving.